All right. Good day, everyone. We will start the webinar. Thank you for being here. This webinar will be in three parts, more or less. The first part, we're going to try to divide it equally in about maybe 20-minute interval. The first part is I will be going very quickly through this presentation. For those who attended a presentation like this a while back, we have some of the material we covered before we are not sharing here. We are hiding those slides, and we're including some updates. So basically, the focus here is on the most recent update to the Uruk platform. So we will go through this, and if you have any questions, stop me, interrupt me. Don't wait to the end, because it's easier to cover the question quickly. So we will go through this, the update, and then I can show this, the same kind of things on the platform, and open the discussion related to the platform, related to investing in the Uruk project management or Uruk platform, since we have the crowdfunding campaign started recently. So let's take it from here. All right, our progress to date. And basically, we're still in the early stages of the platform. And as we've said many times before, this platform will be quite comprehensive and will take a year to fully develop the vision. However, we are developing the platform iteratively and incrementally. So with every release, we either do enhancement, so that will be an iteration of previous work, or we add some functionalities through additional increment as a working software. So basically, where are we today? If we highlight the key areas that are live today, basically what we have the functionality to manage the life cycle of a project across the stages, okay, with tailorable or tailored methods, concept to success. And that's the idea of the maze here, is that we go from the going into the maze until going out safely at the end and successfully. So we manage the whole life cycle through the Uruk platform. Again, the life cycle might be different based on the tailored method that we have. In addition to managing the life cycle, we manage every stage. And with the most recently released earlier this week or late last week, we now have what we call simplified and advanced module for managing each stage and the stage gate, including deciding on the criteria. I will elaborate on these more later, but basically, these are the key highlights. We have simplified modules. And when we say simplified, that means very basic functionality, whereas advanced is definitely, like, for example, in managing each stage, we have only the simplified and the advanced module, and that will be it from now on. For all feature method, we'll have both features. However, when it comes to PM function like cost, change, and risk, we continue to update and increase content and modify these in due time in the future. For the time being, we only have the simplified module, and the primary purpose of this simplified module is to consolidate the output from other tool or solution. Many organizations probably are using their own system for cost controls, change management, risk management. So the idea is that we want to consolidate the output from those other sources in order to generate the performance chart and the report inside the Uruk platform. We have performance chart. And right now all the performance chart are specific to project because we only have the project management modules then. Will include reports and a summary dashboard. We also have task management that include list view, calendar view, Kanban views, and timesheets already built into the system. We have a knowledge portal that include already case studies, ebooks. I think we have already uploaded about 14 ebooks. Case studies, we haven't uploaded any yet, but there are other guidelines. We have uploaded many files already in the system. However, in addition to the knowledge portal and what we upload ourselves, any user of Uruk can upload content as long as they own the copyright for that content. They can upload it into the platform to share with everybody else. And then we have open collaboration, and that include among the team member on a project, within an organization and management, and across Uruk users around the world. These are the key highlights, as I mentioned, and I will be going through each one of them individually. So if you have any question on these, please wait as we go through the next few slides. The core of Uruk now and in the future will be tailored method, or sometimes we use the term tailorable method, because the idea is that we provide a method that has already been tailored based on certain criteria that we have. However, we can even tailor those methods further to become fit for purpose for a given client or an organization. So we will continue building these. But however, as of today, what we have is 4 tailored method. And usually, actually, if you think about them, really there are 2 tailored methods. One focusing on what we call Big Bang development, that's the BBD. And then we have, which means the output of the project will be delivered in one piece at the end of the project. So basically you're building a house, it doesn't make sense to deliver that house incrementally for the client, for beneficial use. The client only care about the house being complete in order to be able to live in it. So in those kind of situations, that's what we call Big Bang development. And you notice here we have one, is because we have 3 different versions of the Big Bang. And the only difference between these 3 versions is the implementation stage. You probably can see in the middle here toward the end, where we have 1 implementation stage, or in BBD2, we have 2 implementation stages. For example, the reason for this is that, let's say you have a company that want to use design build, right? So we have design stage and a build stage, right? Or they might have 3 stages, such as engineering, procurement, construction, or whatever difference. But basically for BBD, we have 1, 2, 3. Then we have the incremental iterative delivery, which is, as you can see in this here, most of the stages and the phases are the same. The only difference is, again, an implementation, in this case, where we could have iteration or increment. And the number of those iteration and increment will vary based on the project. Again, this exists today. Now, how do we decide? How would the user decide which tailor method to select? We have built a tailored method selection. That's very basic form right now. It's only 2 questions. However, as we add more tailored method, we will be adding questions, and the tailored method selection will become more advanced. For now, the first question is that to decide on, is the project suitable for Big Bang development or iterative incremental? If it is Big Bang, then there will be another question where to decide if it is 1 stage, 2 stage, or 3 stages. Or the other way, the answer to the first question might be no, we want to use iterative incremental development, and then that will give us a selection of the iterative incremental development method, and where the project manager can define the number of increments later on in the project. Once we have more work done, the project manager will be able to define how many iteration or increment they need to have. And of course, during implementation, if they decide to delete or add increment, that would be also possible. Now, as we mentioned, this exists today, right? I'm still focusing and I'm distinguishing between what exists today and what might be coming. So right now, if you go into the system, you will be able to go through this process. However, as we said, there are only 4 tailored methods today, right? However, next month, we expect to have up to 16 tailored methods. So basically what you will notice here is that the question 1, it will be different, right? What we have right now is question 1 will become a question 2, and question 2 will become question 3. So we're adding 1 question, which is to define the classification of the project. And the word project class in Uruk, that means size and complexity, right? That depend on these variables. So if the project is unclassified, obviously, it will give us one of the 4 tailored methods that we have today. So basically that's done and active, the unclassified one, because we did not specify a size or complexity. We let it to be generic, right? So if it's unclassified, the system will have 4 choices, tailored method 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we go to question 2, and it's the question 2. It's iterative incremental development. The recommended option will become tailored method 4. However, if it's BBD, then we need to decide 1, 2, or 3 stages, and that will give us tailored method 1, 2, or 3. However, we will be adding gradually. So the next, possibly by the end of this month, we will have the small simple project method added, and that there are 2 methods there, method 5 and 6. After that, we will do probably about maybe a few days later, in early June, we will have the managing multiple project methods, where we have 4 methods in this case, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then we go next to the large and complex projects, and that will give us 4 tailored method. And finally, we will close this project that we are working on right now, then we introduce another project. So possibly by the end of June, we will have the micro project, which means we have 2 tailored methods there only, 15 and 16. So basically what we are saying is by now we have 4 methods, which are in the orange. By the end of June, we could have up to 16 tailored methods. In reality, these are really 5 tailored methods. We have unclassified class, we have micro, we have small, simple, medium, moderate, and large and complex, right? These are the major categories of tailored method. However, each one of them has at least, as you can see, 2 or more versions, and that will give us up to 16 versions in the system. So there are 16 choices. And later on, obviously, we continue to add in July onward. We will continue to add, but at that time, we would shift to having tailored method that is specific to a project type, okay? Such as a real estate development or a hospitality project, a software project, an outreach project, an oil and gas project. Those will be starting to come to be released incrementally starting July onward. So we have the tailored method.
Sorry, Munir, question,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. If we can go back to this previous slide. I just want to understand when you said on, I'm not sure which question, is it the one with the multiple, managing multiple projects? Are we talking about a program?
No, project. We're talking about project. We're not talking about program management.
Okay, so managing multiple projects.
Not managing multiple, medium to moderate complexity project.
Medium to
moderate complexity.
Okay, complexity. Okay, so it's not similar, of course, to the orange one. It's a little bit more complex. That's
no. They're not. The orange one is very generic. This is very specific, right? By the way, all these tailored methods are quite similar in terms of life cycle. The main difference is that basically is the size and the complexity of the project. So if you have a small, simple project, obviously, maybe with a few team members, we don't have to have a lot of work done during the stages. If we have the medium to large project, there is a lot of work will be happening during those stages, because some of those stages could be significant in size. So that's the main difference between them. There's no main difference in the life cycle. The main difference is in the level of effort. And as a result of that, the schedule will be different. And then probably the stage management would be different. So this is not multiple project. This is managing moderate, okay, medium size to moderate complexity projects.
Okay, and everything from what we saw from green and blue, it's all apply managing the stage. So it will have something similar to the BB, like the BBD one, or
this is here. They are there. I mean, technically, you notice here, for example, if you look at the green TMs in a medium moderate project, we have 4 methods. We have one of them that is iterative incremental development, which is method 10. And then we have BBD1, which is TM7. And they will be very similar to the orange. So there is no major difference between them. The main difference is basically in the stage management. When it comes to these type of method, obviously, in terms of functionality, so, if we're talking about software-wise now, if we're talking about Uruk, the main difference between them is stage management, which we'll see later, right? The life cycle are quite similar. Whether you are dealing with a medium project or large project, you could have one implementation stage or 3 implementation stages, or you can have BBD or IID. The main difference when it comes to size and complexity of project is the level of effort and managing the stages, right? That's the main difference between them.
And managing the stages, we're talking about simple way to manage the stage.
That's coming up. That's coming up.
Okay.
So we manage across the stages. So basically, each life cycle, each tailored method will have its own life cycle, as we saw earlier. And based on that, we end up with a table like this in the system, and where we can go manage across the stages. So we manage, like in this case, what this image shows, that this project has been activated, stage gate 0 is approved. The concept stage was done. The project brief was submitted to gate 1, it was approved. In this case, the feasibility study is done and submitted to the stage gate 2. So right now, what this is telling us by looking at this picture is that this project right now is sitting with the sponsor at stage gate 2 for approving the feasibility study, or stopping the project, or revising, whatever the case, whatever decision that needs to happen. I will talk about decision in the next slide. So each tailored method will have a table like this, that basically it will show the different stages and the gates related to those stages. If we're talking about managing each stage, when we talk about managing each stage, we can use either the simplified method I mentioned earlier or the advanced module, right? And that basically we put some description at the bottom here, is when it's suitable to use, either just as our recommendation, and these are included usually in system. Whenever we see a check mark like this, a question mark, that means there is some information being provided. The user, in this case, the project manager, can click on the X, on the question mark, and to see what advice or note we have included in the system. So for managing a stage, we have 2 options, right? Up till 2 days ago, we only had the simplified module. So the screenshot is very current. This is actually yesterday or 2 days ago, where this version or this release went live. So now the system, the project manager can decide for a given stage. So let's say I am in the requirement stage. Do I need to use the simplified stage management or the more advanced? Usually the simplified module is suitable and is good for small project, micro project, even some stages of large and complex project. So on the same project, we could use the simplified on some stages and the advanced on other stages. And again, that would require practice and understanding the difference between the two. So whenever we click on the simplified or the advanced, the system will show the project manager the difference between the two. So the PM can decide, including our comment and our advice as well. So the simplified is what we have existed before. So if anyone have been through the Uruk platform already, they would know, they would have seen this. So basically, in other words, for those who know PMI and ISO, this is the process groups. So when we talk about stage management, and I know many times in the past we used to say, and not everybody would agree with us, that the PMBOK guide and ISO are not really about managing project, they are about managing a stage of the project. Because the process group are not project lifecycle, they are about managing every stage, and they should repeat in every stage. That's exactly what we implemented. I know sometimes people will tell me, well, in this country or in this region or in this company, PMI is the holy book. That's fine. That's PMI. That's PMI for you right here. What PMI is, what is the PMBOK offer? The PMBOK offers the process group to manage a stage, and of course, include information about other things. But primarily, the core is the processes. I know somebody will tell me, but version 7 doesn't talk about processes. It does. It's not in the book. It's on an associated website. So in order to manage project, we manage every stage. So the simplified version only include, planning the stage, implementing the stage, controlling the stage, and closing the stage, as you can see here on the right. However, the advanced module follow a modified version of the PMBOK guide and ISO, because the PMBOK guide offers 5 process group in ISO. We are offering 6. We separate the planning into plan management and plan detail. That might require a special discussion by itself, but basically, what will give you is this. You have stage authorization, which stage initiation, managing the stage, detail the stage, implementing the work, control, and close. And here we included some kind of process gate, just more for verification on bigger project. This went live a couple of days ago, right? So right now it is active and ready for use. Again, it's first release, so it hasn't been fully tested on real project. It's been tested, of course, by the software team and by us, but it still require some, obviously, every time we do a new release, obviously there could potentially be some minor bugs here and there. So far, we haven't seen anything, and it's working well.
Munir,
Yes.
the process gate in this case is going to be managed by the project manager, not the project sponsor?
Yes. Yes, I mean, no need, because this is mostly within the project, within the objective of the project management. So it's really a project management stage gate. A gate, a process gate. It's not a product. I think the key here to understand is that when we talk about life cycle, that is mostly about the product development, whatever the product of the project is. So usually those gates, the stage gate, require management and the sponsor and the steering committee or whoever else need to decide on that. Whereas within the project, talk about in terms of planning the detail of a stage, that is a project manager responsibility. Now, when it comes to the stage gate, there has to be criteria. Now, obviously, we cannot set the criteria ourselves, because every project, every organization have different standards and policies and guidelines. So what Uruk provide the client an opportunity to set their own criteria for their project. Like in this case, this is from a SUKAD project. So we, as SUKAD, we have defined the criteria for our stage gates. So basically what that means, obviously, if at the gate review, if we don't meet the criteria, the gate should not be approved. Again, could be highly variable. Not could be, it is highly variable, depending on the type of the project, depend on the organization culture, policies, and guidelines. So all what we can do in this case, provide the mechanism for the client to provide their own criteria. However, the sponsor and the steering committee or whoever the decision maker, they can modify those criteria for a given project if there is a need. So it's not like set in stone. Management can decide that, look, these are the criteria we want to have as a generic for our project, for this type of project. But again, at the gate, and we can see that in another slide, management can decide. So basically, we include template. I think we've shared this before. So there will be, for every tailored method, there will be an associated schedule template that we can share to help the project manager minimize data entry. We have simplified function. We talk about that many times as well, to consolidate the input. And right now we have scope management, cost management, schedule management, change, what you can see here. I think I need to start to close this part, which is we talk about collaboration, because collaboration is a big deal today in our project management world. So basically, collaboration happens in multiple places inside Uruk. For example, let's say we are working on a document, like the project requirement document in this case, or the feasibility study, or the definition detailed plan. Whatever document you are working on, you're gonna see a table like this that include a box where this task, like for example, let's say description of the product here, this will be a task, this work will be assigned to a team member. And that's where we can do links. So we can have tasks listed in task management, and we can link this work to a task. And as you know, every task must have someone assigned to do it. So let's say this task is assigned to person A, this task is to person B, this task to person A, this task to person C. You can have as many team members depend on the size of the project. However, what that means is that person A is the only one who can enter data here, and the PM, right? The PM will be able to do everything. But in this case, a description of the product is assigned to team member A. Team member A is the only one who can input data here. However, every other team member can provide comments and inputs and whatever the case might be. So this is one way where the team on a project can collaborate on every deliverable on the project, right? And then when everything is done, when all team members enter their data and everybody is happy, said, yeah, we've done our work, the project manager can review on his or her own the work, or he or she can call a meeting to discuss all the work. And once the team and the project manager are happy with the work done, they can submit the stage deliverable to the stage gate. So there are collaboration happening here. Now the project goes to the stage gate or the deliverable. And at the stage gate, remember we talked about, we have a criteria. And here, maybe the people who are sitting at the gate, they can go and modify the criteria if they see necessary. There is a place where we can enter the decision maker who are involved in the decision. It could be a steering committee, it could be the sponsor alone, or it could be a team of people. Then we need to list them here, who is involved in the decision making. Then they can, as they meet and discuss, they can, the stage delivery review here, they can enter their notes and comments. And then at the end, they can also click here to look at the stage deliverable itself, obviously, as they review it. And then they can decide on either they approve it or reject it or send it back to the PM for revision, whatever decision. And I think we shared this before. There are 4 decisions to be made, either revise or hold or reject or approve, right? And reject means terminate the project. So that is basically, in this slide here, we talk about team collaboration while the project work is going on. Over here, we're talking about management collaboration in terms of decision-making, so they can have informed decision-making on the project. And another form of collaboration that is not linked to a specific stage or a gate is that ongoing collaboration where the team member can form a group, like a WhatsApp group, and they can chat among themselves. So these chat will be limited to the group or team member on a project, whereas they can also chat with anyone else within the organization. And finally, we also have a section here for community discussion. So basically, if someone wants to post a message on the community discussion platform, maybe asking for input or asking for help or sharing knowledge, but that is open to everyone within Uruk from all companies and organizations that are signed up to Uruk. So anyone can see that information. So it has to be open and not confidential information. Obviously, the user will have to decide what they can put. So collaboration is happening at different levels as we have shared here. Almost one more slide or a couple more slides. Today, when you register not as a user, when a company wants to register or sign up to Uruk, the only option available for them is an organizational account, which means that basically we need to have an organization, and the trial plan is linked to this. That means you will have we need to have an organizational admin, a client admin to administer the account for the client, and they need to have user, sponsor, team member, project manager. So as a minimum, there are some restrictions that there have to be about 3 team members involved. So basically, most organizational plan start at 5 users, and the trial plan that we have in the system today, active today, allow up to 5 users to work on Uruk for 30 days free of charge. And then that will have also up to 10 viewer licenses. So basically people who can view and see everything, but they cannot actually do transaction inside Uruk. However, what we are adding now is individual account. So as you notice here today, this account type is not active yet on the left. This is technically is done in terms of software development today. So we're going to spend the next couple of days testing. So possibly the individual account, including an individual trial plan, will be active as we expect now by Monday, right? That means a single user, let's say I'm a freelancer, I'm a project manager, I work on my own, I want to do my own personal project. I'm not part of an organization. They can use this. Now, this version is not developed as to the best of what we would like it to be. So it's not the final version, but at least right now it's there. So the project manager, there's in this case there are no team member, there are no project manager, there are no sponsor. So the person that accessing this will have the authority of the PM, team member, and the sponsor. So they can do their own work and review their own work because it's an individual license. In the future, we want to add a group license. We'll talk about it when we're ready. That might be, many months from now. I'm not sure. If there is a need for that, we can accelerate it, but at this time, we don't see this as a priority. So final slide, where is Uruk today? Can people and companies use Uruk today? We split the slide into two parts. So let me start with the bottom part. If we're talking about general business project, maybe a marketing project, an HR project, a software project, an event, webinars, even software development, small, simple software development project, right? Uruk is ready today. Right? We are actually using it already. I think Nada is managing a project on for outreach on Uruk, and I am managing a software project, which is the project I'm talking about today, inside Uruk, where everything is inside Uruk. Right? All the deliverables, the stage, the gate, the chart, the performance, everything is there. So that is ready today, and any user, any company can use the software today. Now, again, still we are in the early stages of the market release. So it's an early adopter. We cannot promise that there are zero bugs, but basically it's working well. If we talk about large capital intensive projects such as a real estate development, hotels, oil and gas project, we are not ready yet. Yeah? The plan is we will start working on those in July, August. So we have right now, May is almost finished. We have to do the other tailored method we talked about earlier and then possibly as soon as late June or early July, we'll start working on what we call tailored method based on specific types. So we can do as many types as we need. With this, I thank you, and I close the slide presentation. It took longer than I expected. But basically, the moral of what this is what we have right now, what we want to share, is that the platform is ready for use. It's available for early adopter, and we can use it, so basically. And what we also have is that obviously we started a crowdfunding campaign. So we are looking for additional investment to continue the development and to basically to build our team as we start to go to market. And I should say in a more proactive way, because right now we have been very passive in terms of going to market. We need to increase our effort in that area and then still continue development. So right now, what I shared with you is most of the work that is being done under Project One and into this program. And then as soon as we finish, potentially we'll go into the next project. And again, that's incremental development. We'll continue to proceed. In terms of Let me share the screen again to show you on the platform itself. The platform is for those who have seen it already. When you go home, when you open the platform after you are assigned as a user, you will be able to manage a program that is still coming soon, potentially late summer this year. You can manage a project. You can go to administrative section or community of practice. So let's say managing project. If you go to the managing a project home, you have a choice between setting up a new project or managing an existing project. So let's say we want to set up a new project. Obviously, you will have this form, the fields that are mandatory as with an asterisk, and you can complete as many fields as you can, and the project will go to the sponsor for activation. If you want to manage an existing project, you can go down to the project list and you can select project. For example, I want to show you the latest changes. So let's say I want to go to manage an existing project, right? And sorry, let me make sure. I'm selecting this project, and notice this project was just activated, because as you notice here, you can see the last stage get approved, stage get 0. That means we haven't done any work on this project yet. It's only been activated. So if we want to do tailored method selection, we'll click on it and you can see the questionnaire that I mentioned. And basically you can select BBD and you can choose 1 stage, 2 stage, or 3 stage, or you can select IID, and then that's automatic. There's only one version of that. And I show you this slide, the screenshot in the system itself. If we talk about, let me go back to project. I want to go back to a different project. And this project is already in implementation. And this is a software project that is actually delivering this stuff that I'm discussing with you today. But what I want to do here, if I go to, let's say, implementation stage, and you notice this option that we talked about, the simplified versus advanced, that we discussed as well. So if I look at simplified, it shows me these 4 processes like we discussed earlier. Or if I select the advanced, you will see the screenshot that I shared with you also as well. And that is live today. So let's say we want to select the advanced, we submit, and now we can go to stage author, and notice everything is sequential. Everything is dark, light gray here. That means it's not active yet, because the only thing I'm here. So I can go to stage authorization, and I can do the things. I can mobilize a project manager. I can identify the stakeholder. I can establish stage success criteria. I can describe the product. I can do justification, whatever the case might be for the stage. And of course, the same process will continue. I just want to quickly also share, if we talk about reporting and performance chart, because this is an active project, you can see some of the performance chart here as well, right? And this is a real project, by the way, right? Again, this is a project that I'm working on, that we are working on right now. We show all the information. Obviously, in this case, we don't have any data, so everything is 0. You can see, I mean, if we quickly go through this, you would have cost index, duration index, as this point in time or as a trend. You can have completion date variance as a trend. You can have the issue resolution. You have issue management status, change management status, change resolution index. Again, the difference between usually these donuts are at this point in time, whereas this shows a trend. So it's the same information. The change net cost impact, net duration impact. They are about 28 or 29 charts. Work package status and scope management. So, and you notice here the blue line drop because we deleted 1 work package. We had 23 work package on this project. We deleted 1. Although this week we're adding 1, so it's gonna go back up to 23. So we can add and delete work packages. We can show captured lessons. We can show team count, stakeholder count, threats and opportunities. And that's it. Open to other question, whether you want to talk about it here on or go back to the presentation. Is there anything
Munir,
else?
I have a question. I have a question related to selecting the tailored method.
Yes.
Is it up to the project manager to select the method appropriate for him or her, or the system will ask some questions that lead to the most appropriate method for this project?
Yeah, the system will ask questions. So we have what we call TMS, or tailored method selection process, and which I showed you. Only if we talk about, let me go back to a project where we can show this, right? So basically here, right? After the project is activated by the sponsor and assigned to a project manager, the project manager will come here. Now, right now, there are only two questions here that I mentioned. So if you want to chase big bang development, or let's say 3 stages, APC, right? And let me select it, right? So let me get tailored. So now the system is going to give me this method right now. Okay, that system, it's selected and recommended this method. Okay. Later on, we will be adding question here. As I mentioned, probably in 3-4 weeks time, we will be adding one question before these two, which is the classification project. Is the project small, simple, like I showed you on the presentation? Is it small, simple? Is it micro? Is it large and complex? So that will be a question that come before these questions here. And in the future, when we add, for example, hospitality, real estate development, oil and gas, we will be adding questions as well. So the way the process, so this tailored method selection process here, the algorithm that we have here, every once in a while, we'll continue to update it as we add more tailored method to the system. So the way it works is that it's the system would recommend a tailored method.
Munir, when we set up the...
Yeah. So the system would recommend a tailored method, okay? And then basically what we are going to add next month is that, let's say the project manager does not agree with this tailored method, they will have the power to override it. All right, Amr?
Okay, sounds good. Yes.
But that the power to override it is not there yet. And by the way, since I'm speaking about that, because we were talking about that this morning, right now we're going to give the project manager the authority to say, look, I don't like this method, I want to use another method. However, later on, when we add portfolio management and we add project management unit or project management office, the project manager will not have the power to decide to deviate. That will have to go to the sponsor and go to the project manager, because we want to avoid a project manager that is picky or said, I don't like this or I don't like that. If there is a justification that the tailored method recommended doesn't work for some reason or another, we need to understand why, because that might mean this client might need another tailored method to be built in and added to the platform, right? So at least we don't do it on every case by case. Basically said, look, if there is a tailored method we are offering, one of them doesn't fit your project, that is an indicator that basically what we might need is maybe take a week or two to develop a specialized tailored method for you, which can be done very quickly. Right?
Yeah, I think it's good to leave it to the project manager to give him flexibility if he likes the recommended one or he likes his own one. So I think it's good to be flexibility here.
We are leaving the flexibility, but down the road you might have situation. It's like highway, yeah, on the highway, driving on the highway. You know, the person can speed, they can slow down, but they know if they're gonna speed, there might be consequences by caught by the police, right? So there have to be some laws, correct? So we provide flexibility everywhere in the system. We are providing as much flexibility as we can, however, with some limitation. Otherwise, it's totally loose. The project manager might say, look, I don't want to use any tailored method. then how do you gonna manage the project? Because the system, unfortunately, force you to choose a tailored method. You have, because otherwise we cannot manage the project. So in this case, what we are saying is that if really a tailored method, what we have, doesn't really fit the project, and this project is highly unique, then maybe what that requires that look, pause and let us update a tailored method that is more tailored to fit your situation. And again, that could be done within a week or two at most. Right? And so
Okay.
we are allowing the change. We are allowing, because we obviously, we're going to be building tailored method maybe for the next 5 years, because there could be hundreds of tailored method, right? So we cannot have tailored method for everything from now. But what we are doing right now is providing, generic method, and then later on we can tailor based on needs.
Monir, my question was, like, when we set up the project at the beginning, we did mention what type of project we are working on, simple or medium, medium-sized project. It's already in the startup, like in the setting up the project. So will that be account, like when we are selecting the tailor method? Because you said, like, in the future, we're gonna get a question before we get to these two questions about tailor method, about a question about what size of your project. So to select the right.
But I mean, Nada, what do we have in the? Okay, let me show you.
In the
Okay.
setting.
If we talk, if we talk about project setup here, right? We select the project classification. Is a project micro, small, simple, medium, moderate, large, or complex, right?
Yeah, we already did that in the beginning.
Then there has to be tailor method to fit these things.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's not like, the project manager and here will say, oh, I want to have a small, simple project, and we'll go to the tailored method selection, say, I want to use a medium, moderate project. And these things happen back to back. So, as soon as this is done, the sponsor activate, we select the tailored method. So obviously, the project manager, whatever the project manager select and include here, right? Most likely, that is the case that project manager is going to do on the tailored method selection. And project type as well. Here, guys, what you can see here for the project type, you notice, for example, we have many, but we have not developed those tailored methods yet. You can have facilities, you can have buildings, industries, infrastructure, utilities, medical, hospitality, government, not-for-profit. They could be 20, 30 different types of project over here. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have tailored method for each one of those, but the project can decide. And then the development approach is over here. So again, if the project manager decide BBD over here, obviously, when they go to tailored method selection, if they need to change their mind, they can come back in here and change their mind here as well. Otherwise, and the project manager in one place is saying, I want X, and another place is saying, I want Y. No. Now, down the road, we have not built it yet. We can link this to the tailored method selection. So if the project manager already decided over here, the tailored method selection would be, instead of including question, will import the information from here. But right now, we have not done that linkage yet. Other question? All right, there are no more questions. There's something in the chat. Thank you, Dr. Suresh. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you were able to join us. So, okay, if there are no questions, we will stop recording and we'll close this webinar. And as usual, usually either later today or by tomorrow, the recording for the webinar will be live. And basically, we're live on the YouTube channel and people can access the recording, and we will be sharing this. Last minute, any question before we close?
Munir, I have a question. In the presentation, and the stage gate criteria that we have, it was mentioned on the slide itself that this applies to the BBD small to medium size. And the example you just gave us when you show us Uruk itself, it was for the IID. So I'm assuming it's applied to everything.
No, it doesn't apply to everything. Every organization can decide what they want, right? So they can decide the stage gate criteria that they want to establish. And if they, most likely, the early stages of the project, like, the feasibility concept, regardless whether you use BBD or IID, is going to be the same deliverable, right? So the organization can use the same criteria if they want to. But technically, let's say an organization have access to 5 tailored methods. Because some organization, we might have 50 tailored methods in the system, but the client tell you, I don't care about 50, all I need about 5. So, and we assign them 5 tailored methods. So when they have the tailored method selection, they only have a choice to select one of the 5 they have access to. So the same thing, if they have 5 tailored methods, they can have the stage gate criteria for every stage gate and every tailored method. So they need to go actually do it 5 times. So 5 tailored method, obviously they can copy paste. So they can have all tailored method to follow the same criteria, or each tailored method could have a different criteria for one or more of the gates. And that is a decision for the client to decide. And most gate does not make a difference between, doesn't really matter whether you are using IID or BBD. For example, the project brief. I need to develop a project to develop Uruk software. Obviously, whether I'm using IID or Big Bang, I don't see a difference on the project brief in terms of stage gate criteria, right? Personally, for me, right? However, the client have the choice to say, no, for this type of project, I want to use one criteria. For this project, I want to use a different criteria. And that's the flexibility in the system. Again, I go back to the highway and the traffic laws, right? Because that is a perfect example, in my view. In Uruk, we're providing quite a bit of flexibility for the project management, for the organization to decide things that are most relevant to them. However, there are some guidelines and some rules we cannot break, right? We need to have them. We need to have a life cycle. We need to have stage gate. Those we cannot violate. The criteria, I cannot decide on the criteria for a client. A client can decide their own criteria. And same thing, whether to use a simplified stage management or an advanced stage management, that is up to the project manager to decide. So the flexibility exists in many places, however, with some restriction and guideline. Otherwise, we lose governance. If we don't have the proper governance in Uruk, then we might as well not use Uruk. There has to be certain governance. Other question?
I have one more.
Okay.
I have a question related to the collaboration that we talked about on the, on the deliverable, like the team collaboration and deliverables. One of the, deliverables on the from our project. Like you mentioned that we have an area where you can put comment, like team member can come and put comment to for any of the task required, like when in the, for example, requirement document.
Yeah.
So is this going to be reflected in the chat group that we will be developed? Like we will have a chat group with the team for this specific project. Will they get this? No. Okay.
It's not in the chat. It's not. They can chat about it. Up to them. Again, I cannot control that. The team have 2 mechanisms to collaborate, right? They can collaborate through chat. They can talk and discuss and analyze through chat, but the chat doesn't go on the stage deliverable itself. Okay, that remains as a chat, as a general discussion. If the comment, what we would recommend, if the comment is specific to a specific work package on a stage deliverable, for example, the project breakdown structure. Let's say there is somebody, the team have comment about the PBS. Okay, then they can put it in the chat, but that it get lost because it's part of the chat that is open and that is archived as a chat. However, if I want that information to be part of the project record, it has to be on the stage deliverable itself on the PBS or the WBS or stakeholder expectation. The comment has to be where it belongs. Not has to be. I mean, obviously, that is what we would prefer. That is the right practice, because this way, that comment or many comments, they could be there. It could affect the stage deliverable, right? So the comment are not there just to put comments to chat. They are there to maybe somebody have feedback about improving a part of that deliverable. So those comments will be there to change it, to update it, to revise it, and then it will be part of the discussion with the team at the end before they submit that stage gate for approval. So it has to be part of the project record. If it goes in the chat, it doesn't go on the record.
And usually when comment is applied in one of this deliverable, would the person get a notification? It's going to come by notifications, or
Sorry,
it will
the
be
chat
like,
is what? So say that again.
If there will be a comment posted in this deliverable, for example. So
Yes.
the person who the comment sent to will get it as a notification.
We don't send the comment to someone. When we talk about commenting on the stage deliverable, the comment is sitting on the stage deliverable for everybody to see it, right? So it's not like an email or a message that is going. In the chat, you can send direct message to a person, right?
Okay.
So the team can see it, it's there. Dr. Suresh mentioned that the chat could be converted to a minute of meeting. Yes, they could. Actually, one thing we want to do as part of the communication module, but we haven't done it yet, is to create a form for minutes of meetings and create a process for meetings. So basically, whenever there are meetings, regardless what the meeting, whether they are progress meeting or status meeting or just general meeting, there will be a minute of meeting record form that we will implement. So basically, meetings will be part of the record. Right now, we don't have that feature included yet. Only the chat. And yes, the chat will be part of the history. But if the chat, what we're talking about here is the difference is that if the comment is specific to a product breakdown structure on the requirement document, it's best to put it there rather than to put it in the chat. We are out of time, so I will give a chance for one more question if there is need to. Then we'll have to close the meeting. All right. Thank you, everybody, for attending. As we mentioned, the recording will be posted, so you can go back over the whole meeting record. Thank you, and have a great day.